Mauritius is an African island nation located in the southwest of the Indian Ocean. It is popularly known for its breathtaking waters and white beaches, definitely on my bucket list. Today, we're very honored to have with us the High Commissioner of the Republic of Mauritius, His Excellency Dr. Lutchmun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Excellency, could you kindly share with our readers and viewers of Embassy Direct about your personal and professional experience of South Africa?
Thank you. My personal experience goes back in the 90s because at that time I spent 1 week holiday at Sun City with my family, which was fantastic. And at that time, Sun City was not as it is developed now. And recently, last month, I spent another 3 nights and days there. And I see the big difference now because with new hotels beside the one I used to stay in 1985, it's now well developed and plenty of people are there. So this was my first experience in 1985. Then in 1991, the late Prime Minister of Mauritius, Sir Vijaye, sent me on an official mission here to discuss with the South African government at that time on the various measures, policies and measures and actions, how to curb down the drug problem in our country. And that was in 1991, where I met with the South African police and I visited different rehab centers in Johannesburg and in Durban also. And that was the first time when I heard about the Durban poison. I never knew what Durban poison was. So I learned from the people there that was an exceptional cannabis which had a very strong power on people who smoke it and use it. So that was in 1991. And then at that time, I never thought that one day, 30 and 35 years afterwards, I'll be nominated as High Commissioner of Mauritius in this great Republic of South Africa. So this is it for the first. And then gradually, when I came here as High Commissioner, I had the opportunity of going to attend the SONA in Parliament in Cape Town. And there I had the opportunity of visiting the Indian Indentured Laborers Museum. It was in Durban. Okay. Sorry for that. But in Cape Town, what interested me was that Robben Island. And I made it a duty to go to Robben Island, where we were guided in a tour, and I visited the famous or infamous maybe place where the late President Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for 27 years. And I had the opportunity while walking around to sit down in his cell. And there on his bench, small bench, where he used to take his food and the plate. So I sat down, I took the plate also. And this was a very emotional experience, being in the cell of late President Mandela in the Robben Island. So that was my first visit there. And later on, in 2017 again, when the Minister of Arts and Culture, Honorable Pradeep Rupan, who is now the President of Mauritius.
Wow.
Right? So we went jointly on a mission to the Robben Island. And then from there we came to Cape Town and we signed a bilateral agreement on arts and culture between Mauritius and South Africa. And there we had also the opportunity of going to the Cape Point, where the two oceans meet, Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. And that was a very exhilarating experience because I never thought that in my life I'd come to a point where I see two oceans meet, especially I am from the Indian Ocean and see the Atlantic Ocean meeting, and we saw the land where they never mix also. Yeah, so it was an experience which was unique in my life. Okay, so that was in 2017, we have been there. Then in 2018, I had the opportunity of spending few days in the iconic Kruger Park, where I saw the wild animals, especially the big five, which is famous in South Africa. And I came across them, I've seen them. And on our return, the Land Rover in which I was sitting had to stop in the middle of the road. Then I said, what happened? When I looked in front of me, I saw a jaguar blocking the road. Okay, a jaguar blocking the road. So these are experiences which I will never forget. So these are for what we have seen in the Kruger National Park. And then gradually I think we came to different issues, like I used to go for conferences in Durban, in Maharani Hotel, which is next to the beach. Yeah. So there I was really, exhilarated because I see the coastline, which resembles a bit of Mauritius coastline. Yes, so it was a sort of similarity, but unfortunately the water here is very cold as compared to our warm lagoon waters. So there, while I was at the IORA conference, Indian Ocean Rim Association conference, the Indian Ocean, and there I see the opportunity to visit the Indentured Laborer Museum, okay, which reminded me of Mauritius, the Aprabasi Ghat, which is now a UNESCO heritage place, where the indentured laborer came out of the harbor and were channeled to that building. So here it gives me the same impression that South Africa, the indentured laborers from India, and the indentured laborers who came to Mauritius first, and then they landed here also. So now for the last 5 years when I have been here, I have met with many people in Houghton, in Joburg, anywhere. So I used to go to meet people in, I think, some of the socio-cultural organizations, like the Arya Samaj in Durban, there's the Marathi Mandali Federation here in Houghton, and many other socio-religious organizations, the Tamil Federation. So I met them, and it reminds me of Mauritius, where we have the same ethnic group also. Okay, so I did not feel a stranger in South Africa when I meet the people whom I had a sort of link previously. So that's a unique experience to be in South Africa. So and then I also, what I like is, I mentioned the coastline, the museum, but I had also the opportunity of witnessing the launching of the Mahatma Gandhi Museum in Durban by his granddaughter, Ela Gandhi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was invited when I was for the IORA conference. And together with the premier of the KZN of Durban, we were there. So these are experience, although I did not meet Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, okay, but I met his granddaughter here, who is launching a museum on his name. So that was an excellent period of which I'll never forget. I'll keep it deep in my heart. And what I like most is when I come to Pretoria, especially at this time, what we see, all the jacarandas blooming, the different colors, purple, when you drive, you see that. And this reminds me of a part of Mauritius, because in December in Mauritius, we have what we call another flower. It's a red one. We call it boucle banane. Okay, so this flower is a bit similar when you look at the flowers in Mauritius and the jacarandas here. So it reminds me of, the flower is called the flamboyant trees. Flamboyant in French means something which is like fiery.
Oh,
okay, in Mauritius. And these trees, they bear red flowers, just like the purple flowers of jacarandas. So here I see the link between Mauritius, not only in terms of fauna, the flowers, the flora. Fauna is animal, okay? But I can see also the link between the population coming from India, settling in Mauritius, and part of them settling here. So I see a little of ourselves in South Africa also. And I'm happy to be here because I meet people with whom I feel that I have a sort of link of centuries ago. This is it. This is my personal experience here. And then I had some other experience which maybe the Mauritius team came for the, how do you call it, the football competition. No, this is the African Cup of Nations. Yeah. So I went to Rustenburg to support my team there. And that was another experience, shouting, pushing my team there. So this is another experience there. So these are some of the experiences. Personal one, okay? Starting from 1985 to now 2021. Yeah. And if we go to our professional experience, my professional experience, I said, before being appointed as High Commissioner, I have been engaged with the South African authorities. I told you earlier about it, that I was from 1986 to 1995, I was the Chief Executive Officer or the Director of the National Agency for the Treatment and Rehabilitation of Substance Abusers. This is why earlier I told you that when I came here, I had discussion with the South African police to explore cooperation in the field of drug trafficking. And I also discussed about the sniffer dog, dogs who sniff cannabis, to use them at the airport, okay, to identify drug peddlers and so on. So up to now, we are still concentrating, still have a strong collaboration between South Africa in the fight against drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Then when I said we went to, in 2018, June, I was asked by my government to come for bilateral agreements to promote what we call the South African Week in Mauritius. And there was a delegation from here, South African, from DECO, and I was asked by my government to join the Mauritius team. So we had bilateral discussion. I had high-level discussion with South African authorities in Mauritius, and on both sides we had excellent discussion. And up to now, I'm still engaged in discussion to promote cooperation between Mauritius and South Africa to further consolidate the relationship between the two countries. Yeah. In 2018, July, that was another experience which I enjoyed very well. I traveled from here, Lenasia Airport, to Karoo Desert, the Karoo Desert, okay? And why? Because they invited me, for the launching of the square kilometer array radio project, MIACAT. And that was there. It was very interesting and informative trip, during which I learned about the astronomy observatory in South Africa, in Karoo, and the scientific knowledge being used in this international project about universe and the cosmic field. Mauritius also is part of the project, and we have a big, a big observatory in Mauritius also. And one of my friends, with whom I was working at the university as professor, he is now in charge of that part. In October 2018, okay, this I mentioned earlier, I went to Durban and I saw this link with immigrants, I said earlier, okay? And that's Heritage Museum. I spoke about it with Indentured Liberation. It was in 1860, but the South African indentured laborers from India came in as from 1855 here. But Mauritius was well ahead. We started, the British colonial powers brought the indentured laborer in as from 1834 up to the 1900s. So we have, few generations of. So that was, and so here we'll see that Mauritius and South Africa shares the common immigrant history. Okay. As part of my responsibilities and duties, I attend various other functions, like the academic functions at University of Pretoria, UNISA, and even I go to Johannesburg, the other university in Joburg, and all these plus academic field, and the cultural and social events, which I said earlier. I attend many socio-cultural functions of different groups, and even marriages from when I'm invited by these groups. And so this is a way that I'm promoting a bit of the relationship between South Africa and Mauritius. I hope I answered your question.
Fully. Absolutely. Wow, thank you. Due to the diverse heritage background of your country, because it's absolutely rich in culture, just like South Africa, could you define the Mauritian national identity and how does it contribute to the overall development and growth of its people?
Well, this is very interesting because at times I hear that South Africa is called the Rainbow Nation. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you, Mauritius has been called the Rainbow Nation since a long time. Really? This it has been when the Europeans, colonial powers settled there. And from that time, it has been called the rainbow. Not only because we have rainbows, but because of the multicultural ethnic group people. So the different ethnic groups, we live harmoniously for decades in our island. There is no indigenous population like you have here. Okay? But what we had, the only endemic bird which Mauritius had was known as dodo. All of you heard about it, which is now extinct. And it became the main source of food for sailors at that time. Remember, at that time, there was no Suez Canal. All the ships from Europe going to India had to pass by the Cape of Good Hope. It's only in 1869 that the Suez Canal was opened. But by that time, the colonial powers were going around Cape of Good Hope to go to East India and so on. So Mauritians, our forefathers, we have been brought in by different colonial powers. At first, it was the Dutch, as it was here, then the French, and then the British colonial powers consecutively for more than, from 1500 to nearly 1968. So this is long colonial history. And so therefore, the population of Mauritius is a rainbow nation. It is how, because when we have the first people who colonized Mauritius, the Dutch came during 2 visits, but they never settled there. And after that, the French came. The French settled there from 1721 to 1810. Okay, so what they did, the French used, they were sugar magnates, and they brought slaves from different parts of the world. And these slaves, we have the descendant of those different slaves also. So here, they used to own sugar estates, but now they are in business and banking sectors, and even in tourism. So at that time, they the French language is commonly used in Mauritius every day. And then the French language is still being taught at school now. So since the French left, the colonial master, then the British came. The British, they also imposed the language, English. So all Mauritians, we speak the two languages, both English and French, and we learn them at school. So it's compulsory for all students to learn these languages, which make it an advantage for us to travel around the world because we are bilingual, and even with other subgroups, we speak different dialects and languages. And then we had the French who brought their slaves from Madagascar, Mozambique, and Senegal. The slaves are known, the descendants of the slaves are known as Creole, Creoles, okay? And with these descendants emerged the Cigar dance, which is a typical Mauritian rhythmic dance, the Cigar dance. So this Cigar dance is now our national song, and the dance also, okay? Emerging from the slaves, and it's now a national dance and the song also. And the Creole language is spoken by all Mauritians, okay? Creole language is a broken French, because the French, when they were speaking the language, the slaves did not speak their language. So from there, they developed what we call the Creole language. And so this transcended all the barriers, okay, or different groups. So in 2014, UNESCO designated the Cigar dance, I'm telling the dance, as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, which is to be preserved. So the Creole dialect is what binds all Mauritians together, because we all speak it. Yeah. After that came the Indo-Mauritians, the indentured laborer from India. They were brought by the British colonial powers as from 1834. Why? Because in 1825, this is history also, the British colonial powers and the British Kingdom in UK abolished slavery. When they abolished slavery, the slave refused to work the sugarcane plantation, as they were bought by the French. So when they refused, there was a problem of economy and human resource. So the British administration at that time went to India to bring the indentured laborers who came from India as from 1834, I said earlier. And they had to work the sugarcane field. Here I would like to highlight that the indentured laborers of South Africa arrived in Durban, I said earlier, in 1858. They came from the same reason, to cultivate the land and work the sugarcane field. So today, Indian community in Mauritius mainly are in agricultural landowners and field. The traditions and language of various parts of India, like when you speak like here, we have the Tamil, the Telugu, the Marathi, and the other languages. They're also spoken in Mauritius. Okay, so these are, the Hindi language is also spoken by many of us. And the Bollywood films, no, we are not talking of Hollywood, Bollywood. The Bollywood film, the Bollywood films, movies, and daily shows, on TV and everywhere, is watched by all the Mauritians. Okay, that's the cultural aspect. The traditional part of our rich heritage of the Hindu community in Mauritius. Okay, these are things which we see every day. And in 2016, as compared to 2014, where the Cigar dance became an intangible heritage. In 2016, the Geet Gawai, UNESCO inscribed, it's a Bhojpuri song where women used to dance on the eve of marriage. Okay, we call it Geet Gawai. Geet means sing, songs, and so on. okay, as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So in Mauritius, we have two intangible cultural heritage, the Cigar dance and the Git Gawai for the Indian. Then came the Sino-Mauritians, the Chinese, who came voluntarily to Mauritius as traders, joiners, and carpenters. They are mostly those who still own retail stores and small businesses. They are also in various sectors. They are fully integrated in our community. The traditional practice, such as a dragon dance, you heard about the Chinese dragon dance, is we all of us, but even non-Chinese community, enjoy it. We form part of it. So the China shopping in China town is everywhere in the capital, and we all buy Chinese goods and food. The Chinese restaurants are always packed with people to enjoy the delicacies that are prepared. Therefore, the richness of our society, or the Mauritian society, has proven to be an asset for Mauritius that many countries still envy. The different festivals, like Sudan will remember, Diwali, okay, Eid for the Muslim community, Chinese Spring festivals, are all fervently celebrated by all communities in Mauritius, and specific public holidays are granted to observe these festivals to Mauritius. And the food platter in Mauritius is also representative of different cultural taste and gives it a unique flavor to be enjoyed by those visiting Mauritius. So the unity of our ethnic diversity, the common understanding of the Creole language among all of us, and the inherent tolerance and respect for each other that has been inculcated since childhood at school is our strength and unity of the nation. Even our constitution ensures equality and freedom of rights to all individuals, irrespective of race, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, or sex. So this is our constitutional right. So here we speak of the Mauritian nation, that the national identity of Mauritius, which is a merger of different cultures, different people from different countries, and this is what makes Mauritius great, especially for its traditional history.
Yeah, I see why it is a rainbow nation as well. So, for anyone who is interested in the possibility of investing or seeking business opportunities in Mauritius, what would you advise people like that? Is there a Chamber of Commerce or Trade office in South Africa to contact?
Okay, let me put it, bluntly. Mauritius has taken a very strong growth-oriented development path, okay, which has enabled us to achieve one of the highest per capita income in Africa. Indeed, from our independence in 1968, Mauritius had a per capita income of $400 in 1968. But in 2019, the GNI per capita was $12,740. From 400 in 1968 to 2019, it's $12,740. This was a big leap in our economic development. However, like many other African countries, as from 2019, we had the setback of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has adversely affected our trajectory, our growth. And even it has been forecasted that by 2030, Mauritius will have a per capita of nearly $20,000. This has been projected, but with the pandemic, we can't say it. So our development strategy, built on a combination of political stability, a strong institutional framework, and bilateral, multilateral trade and investment agreements have established the foundation of our economic development. Our open trade policies have been key in sustaining growth, gradually transforming Mauritius from a monocrop economy, which I said earlier, the sugarcane in 1960-68, as the main source, into a competitive, well-diversified, and growth-based economy, and is now open for investment in over 15 sectors of activity. These includes, among others, tourism, agribusiness, manufacturing, logistics, ocean economy, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, real estate development, hospitality, tourism development, education, ICT, creative industry, I was speaking earlier for the film, okay, and infrastructure. Mauritius has also a sophisticated, transparent, and well-regulated international financial hub with a conducive ecosystem offering a complete range of financial products such as treasury management centers, global funds, international banking system, and a strong stock exchange of Mauritius. Over the years, Mauritius has been awarded a number of international accolades due to its competitive and attractive business climate. For instance, Mauritius is ranked 13th out of 190 countries in terms of ease of doing business, but first in Africa. Likewise, Mauritius is ranked first in Africa in Mo Ibrahim Index of Africa Governance. We are top in good governance in Africa. The Economic Freedom of the World Fraser Institute also we are top, and the Global Competitive Index, to mention just a few. So Mauritius is doing very well in Africa and the African continent. And we are at, nearly top in 10 sectors in Africa. I would advise foreign investors to come and invest in Mauritius with a highly favorable tax regime, which includes no capital gain tax, no inheritance, wealth, or gift tax, a standard 15% individual tax rate, 15% only, no exchange control. The corporate tax is only 15%, like the one individual. And in case of those who manufacture for export, the tax is only 3% when you export your products manufactured. In addition, the investors can enjoy 5 to 8 years of tax holiday combined with long-term residency depending on the amount in investment. There is also a freight rebate scheme for exporters as well as film rebate scheme for the production of films in Mauritius. So this I was telling you earlier. So the economic and business performance of Mauritius has been quite good for the last 4 decades. The government has continued to undertake reforms for creating an enabling environment to position Mauritius as a hub for trade, investment, education, and financial services using its strategic geographical position and its web of free trade agreement. Prospective investors may contact the Mauritian High Commissioner for further information. Thank you.
Thank you. So Mauritius is very popular. It's a very popular tourist destination for South Africans. What recommendations would you have for someone who is considering going to visit the island in the near future? Or what are the visa requirements, if there are any?
Okay, good. Mauritius has become a prime tourist destination for many South Africans. Due to its proximity, Mauritius with South Africa, it's only 4 hours flight from here. As you take off, if you have lunch or breakfast on the plane, then you land off.
Exactly.
You land immediately. So it's 4 hours. And this is an excellent, we have excellent hotels providing attractive packages to tourists. More and more South Africans are traveling to our island, not only for tourism, but also to settle down. There are a lot of them now. I mean, I used to say in the West Coast, when you go in the mall, you hear Afrikaans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you drive on that part, you will see the wall with electric things here, the wires.
Yes.
So this is out of the interview, but my friend used to ask me why. I said they are born and conditioned with these wires. Okay. Yeah. So this is so for South Africans who are planning to visit Mauritius in the near future, I would say that they have made an excellent choice for holidays. Since October 2021, this last month, Mauritius is fully open to tourists. And due to the unprecedented challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, I would strongly recommend those traveling to Mauritius to kindly observe the COVID-related protocols that have been adopted by Mauritius. And for those fully vaccinated, they should produce their government-issued vaccination certificate and a health insurance coverage covering COVID-19 and a negative PCR test done 72 hours prior to travel. Those tourists can freely explore the island. However, for those who have not completed the vaccination but holding a negative pre-departure PCR test, they have to be quarantined for 14 days and in a designated hotel before they can explore the island. They will also be subject to other PCR tests after reaching Mauritius to ensure that they are not COVID positive. The visa requirements, as you mentioned, a tourist visa will be granted free to all South Africans upon their arrival at the airport, valid for 2 months. Okay, provided they have the other necessary requirements such as a valid passport beyond the intended period of stay, a valid return ticket, adequate fund, minimum $100 per night, to sustain himself or herself during his or her stay in Mauritius, a confirmed hotel booking or sponsorship for accommodation, and does not engage in gainful activities during their holidays. That's for VIDA.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So diplomatic missions have proven to be a source of business at the cities that they're based in. And they have a positive impact, obviously, on the host country's economy. What would be the best way to engage with your embassy for someone who's interested in offering services or a product?
Well, this is what I have been doing since I came here, because almost every week I receive a lot of South Africans, right, who want to do business in Mauritius and who want to settle in Mauritius also. So diplomatic relations between Mauritius and South Africa were officially established in 1994 with the opening of representative office in both countries. Since then, the bilateral relations between both countries, including trade flows, have flourished and been consolidated further over the years. Several agreements have been signed by both parties in different sectors, that is cultural, educational, economic, financial, connectivity, information technology, to a mutual benefit of both countries. As a result, we have seen an increased flow of people from both sides visiting and also making their homes in the other country. Mauritius has a large diaspora in South Africa, who is contributing to the economic development of South Africa. Similarly, South Africans living in Mauritius are bringing their fair share in the economic activities in Mauritius. with the facilitation of business visas for investors in Mauritius and premium visas being granted to foreigners to reactivate tourism. Increasing number of South Africans are investing in Mauritius and considering the option of enjoying an exotic, luxurious lifestyle in our paradise island. In accordance with the increased demand of travelers in South Africa, our national airline, which is Air Mauritius, has also started operating 4 weekly flights. Additionally, Fly Safe Air, South Africa, from South Africa is also having twice weekly flight to Mauritius to meet the excess demand of travelers. Mauritius welcomed this positive development of increased people-to-people interaction, thus consolidating further the bond of friendship that exists between both countries.
What are your views on Africa's future in a post-COVID era, and what role will your country have in it?
Well, COVID has impacted on all the countries of the continent, and no country is exception to it. Why? Because the unpredictable trend of the mutating virus, COVID-19, is considerably limiting the abilities of the African countries to efficiently cope with the devastating effects of the pandemic. Currently, around only 2% of African population, the African continent, have been vaccinated due to lack of and the high cost of vaccine. It is a glaring inequality for Africa in the race for vaccines against COVID-19. Fortunately, the COVAX facility mechanism is assisting many African countries to start inoculating their frontliners and the rest of the population. The trickle effect of this will severely jeopardize the economic development of the African continent in future. In solidarity with the sub-Saharan Africa, with our neighbors, Mauritius is sharing some of its vaccine to some friendly countries, which are in dire need to inoculate their people. We stand by them in the Ubuntu spirit and thus consolidating our bilateral African brotherhood. Mauritius has already vaccinated 2/3 of its population, and we have recently, in the last months and up to now, we have donated a lot of vaccine to Rwanda, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Namibia. So this is Ubuntu brotherhood. So we are supporting other countries, although Mauritius is a small country with limited population, but we share with our neighbors of the African continent.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr.
Thank you yourself.
Sharing all of that information with us. Still want to go to Mauritius. Definitely want to go more now. That's lovely.
Good.
Thank you.